I have this big slab of pine. It's 18 inches by 2 inches by 4 feet long. My sister owns this piece of wood. She uses it for her furniture making, which she sells on Etsy, and I can leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out. But she asked me if there was any way that I could plane this down and make it flat. And I said yes. Now it won't fit in my planer. My planer is just 10 inches. But we're going to use a router today. So I have a router with a 1/2 inch collet and this big bit here. And using these things, we're going to set up a jig and a sled, and I'm going to show you how I can plane this down and take the rock out of it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of play. First thing you're going to need are 2 rails. Now these need to be very straight boards, and the straightness of them is going to determine how flat your end project winds up. So I'm actually using some LSL, or laminated strand lumber. My rails are temporarily fastened to the edge of the table using clamps, and I just put them all at the same height by making a little tick mark on a scrap piece of wood based on the highest point of this lumber, and then lining that up. Now they're all relatively even. Now we're going to make them really even. In all 4 corners I'm going to attach just a small screw. I'm using some pan head screws here. I learned this technique from a YouTuber called The Wood Whisperer, and he's got a really great channel. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. This string is on top of the other one, so I'm just going to take a small piece and pull it in just like that to give it just a little bit of thickness there. I actually think they're really good right where they are. Wow, I got really lucky. Everything is just dead on right now. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. I have to keep this workpiece from rocking back and forth while I do this project. So I'm going to use some shims. These are just composite plastic shims, and I'm going to put them under until they're a little bit snug on all 4 corners, and then use a little bit of hot glue to secure them in place. I made this sled out of a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and 1 piece of LSL 2x4. Put this bottom flush cutting bit here. This can now fit in and it can slide freely. I finished with my first pass. Then I can turn this 1 notch, and that will allow me to drop this down just a little bit. When I set this up, I tried to make it as even as I could. So as you can see, I shaved off a little bit of wood over here, and I have a little bit of wood shaved off over in this corner. So it's as balanced as possible. If instead I had pushed 1 corner down and 1 corner had come way up, then by the time you're all done, you would take off a lot of material and the board becomes very thin. By trying to make it balanced, I can save as much wood as possible. Both boards I now have flat on one surface, and I'm going to take these shims out, and then I'm just using this little scraping tool, getting the glue off of there, and then I'm going to flip these over. I happen to have bottomed out my router on the first side, so I'm shimming this up with a piece of 1/2 inch plywood so that I don't have to adjust my rails. Just rinse and repeat for the second side, and you'll wind up with 2 flat boards that are even across the whole way. If you enjoy the video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thanks for watching.